In this video, we'll look at a huge block to slowing down a hectic life and cultivating a slow lifestyle. I'll also share with you what I have found to be a really effective, let's call it antidote to that block. Hi, my name is Joan Killeen, and this channel is about balancing life and its many areas. It's no news to any of us that there are many benefits to slowing down life. There are many excellent and informative sources on the topic and multiple tips. And tips that I see regularly are, for example, committing to doing less by learning to say no, weaning off technology and reducing screen time, and learning to stay in the present and really appreciating what's right here and right now in front of us. Another tip that I come across quite often is learning to find pleasure in anything. And I suppose this video, in a way, is related to that piece of advice. What we'll go through today, I have found really helps in slowing down life and in cultivating a slow lifestyle. I found too that it helps in other ways, like I guess really in being happier in general. A huge block to both slowing down and cultivating a slow lifestyle is the very difficult to manage and constant pull to do. It's difficult to resist, right? It can be very difficult to manage the distraction and temptation of the pull to do stuff, to do busyness. An example that I personally experience is the distraction of the phone and doing, I don't know, almost mindless scrolling through social media or playing a game of whatever, or even jumping on and having a look to see what's in the news headlines. It can be really difficult to resist. I find it particularly difficult to resist and particularly tempting if I have something to do. And I think the more daunting the task is that I have to do, the more difficult it is to resist distraction. Whether that daunting feeling be in the newness of the task that I need to be doing, or in maybe, for example, the enormity of how it seems. To me, it's like nearly a physical itchy uneasiness. I can physically feel like nearly a nervous feeling right here in the solar plexus. It's difficult to tolerate. Energetically, my focus is always outside of me, looking for external things or external goals, something to fix the uneasiness, right? A fix. It's often accompanied by a thought, not necessarily conscious, that if fill in the blank, then I would be happy. Or if I had this blank, then I would be happy. Energetically, I notice my focus is always outside, right? Always outside of me. What do I mean by that? It's like my attention is drawn to outside of me, outside of the here and now, outside the present moment. It could be to an imagined thing. It could be to the imagined feel good of having a thing that I want. It could be to an imaginary situation. And the reason I call it imaginary is because it's actually not here and now. So if it's not here and now, then of course it's imaginary. Sometimes, at least in my case, the act of distraction itself can be well and truly underway before I actually even realise that it's happened. I can be scrolling away on my phone and wonder, how long have I been doing this? And the worst part is that after doing it, it can almost feel like I've achieved something. There's a little sense of satisfaction. Sometimes I can even feel a little bit tired, like, whew, glad I got that mindless piece of scrolling done. The irresistibility of doing that thing, and whether it be pulling you out of the deep concentration you were in to get a work task done, or a well-earned rest and period of doing nothing, is to satisfy your curiosity. It could be evoked by, the ping on the phone to show that a new message has arrived, or the sound of a new email in your inbox. The thing is, when you comply to this pull, your brain releases a little chemical, and it's actually in the reward center of your brain, and it's associated with feeling good and pleasurable sensations. But it's the anticipation of feeling good not the actual feeling good itself. It is one of the happy hormones. Dopamine is the name of the chemical, but it's a motivator to do things that make you feel good. It's the anticipation of feeling good. Now, the anticipation of this little reward can be very difficult to resist and can become habitual, particularly when it's in the habit of being satisfied, right? Modern life, with its technological advantages, provides endless sources of new, unpredictable, novel information to keep us distracted and entertained, and so that chemical keeps producing. And also, because this chemical is related to developing tolerance, we need more and more of it to keep us satisfied. Now, there's a positive. In my experience, a really effective antidote to this block is something I was introduced to, I think, about 8 years ago, and is something I've been developing ever since. It's developing the appreciation of the value of ordinary. Brené Brown says, joy comes to us in ordinary moments. We risk missing out when we get too busy chasing down the extraordinary. I couldn't agree more. The word ordinary itself comes from Latin and comes from the word order. It has quite a few meanings, but the definitions I like best are: denotes a humble and unpretentious attitude towards life, free from exaggeration or distortion, and regarded by society to be good, proper, or correct. Other meanings for ordinary that we're well used to are simple and natural, but other words I like are genuine and authentic and actual and unpretending, decent and honest. Nice, right? Appreciating the ordinary has similarities to learning to take pleasure in anything, in that it helps slow down life and cultivate a slow lifestyle. It does this because over time, consciously practicing an appreciation of the ordinary provides us pretty much endless sources of actual happy hormones. These chemicals actually do produce senses of euphoria and pleasurable feelings, and they include oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. You know that feeling when you get something that you've been waiting for a long time and looking forward to for a long time, or working towards for a long time. You reach the goal, but you're so busy thinking about something else that you barely even get the time, or take the time, or have the time to enjoy and appreciate it. You're so focused on the next goal, the next thing, that you find you barely even noticed you've got that thing you've been working for. We do this by habitually doing actions that feed the anticipation of feeling good, rather than cultivating ways of actually feeling good. Learning to appreciate ordinary cultivates ways of being rather than habits. Bit by bit, we reduce the craving for distraction hits, and simultaneously we provide instead actual sources of pleasurable and euphoric sensations rather than just the anticipation of them. This brings peace and contentment. Ways to increase these good feeling chemicals include connecting with others or another, movement of the body through exercise or stretching and yoga, or through a walk outside, or through dance, laughing, bathing in natural light. A way to kill two birds with one stone is to take that walk outside in daylight. And in fact, pro tip, do it in nature every time you get the chance. Appreciating and respecting and valuing ordinary helps us slow down and cultivate a slow lifestyle, because we develop ourselves to appreciate more realistic and abundant sources of actual happiness and contentment beyond entertainment and drama, which are motivators for more and more. Appreciating ordinary in a more effortless way inspires the desire, and therefore the motivation, to prioritize and make time to slow down and create and cultivate a slow lifestyle. In full circle, we then have time to appreciate more of the ordinary. Slowing down and a slow lifestyle then becomes less of a to-do, which defeats the purpose of slowing down anyway, and more of an act of self-care. Though this isn't an overnight solution, over time, making micro changes in behaviour develops a sort of sense of trust in yourself rather than in outside influences to be a provider of happiness. This then develops a healthy self-esteem and develops a healthy expectation that you will feel happy rather than having to make do with only the anticipation of it. I will leave you with one final quote and remind you before I do to watch the next video linked here if you like this content, and to thank you for watching. I don't know who this quote is from, but it goes, "Anyone can love a rose, but it takes a lot to love a leaf. It's ordinary to love the beautiful, but it's beautiful to love the ordinary." Thank you so much for watching.